enough jobs. COVID has just made things even worse. The crime in this country is escalated. And, some of the crime that's taking place is not only due to, uh, theft and burglary or murder or that case. It's the fact that people are forced to do crime because they don't have jobs. They can't feed their families. I personally, I feel is that the country could have done much better in positioning ourselves where we are right now in South Africa. And yes, I feel the human rights of our citizens are still being violated, and much more needs to be done by government.
Well, you certainly have mentioned a whole host of issues here, Hasina, with regard to human rights, and I'm going to try and drill down and break down some of the issues that obviously you've mentioned. And I'd just like Dudu to come into the discussion because Dudu is now connected with us. Dudu, just looking at from your side, and obviously you are an activist, and we've seen so much by way of activism that has taken place in the last 27 years, and we know that 27 years later. We haven't got things right, and there are still many, many issues, which some of it Hasina has alluded to. How do you see? How do you evaluate human rights in this country? Have we made progress?
I think that nothing has really changed because we are still seeing the protests that are going on now, and then people that are brutally being killed by the police, which still happened 61 years ago at Sharpeville. So I feel that our democracy is not what we would like it to be. And also, I just feel that the Constitution on its own was just created on paper, and then there's nothing on the ground. Nothing is being implemented. Nothing is being done. So we as activists, we see that it is upon us to go back and remind the people who created the Constitution to say this is what you need to be doing, because I also feel that the youth are also not being considered, and yet we are saying that we are a democratic country, but nothing is really being done for the youth, because majority of the unemployed people right now is the youth. So I feel that our democracy, our constitution, and our leaders as a whole are just failing us as a country.
Yes. Now, Hasina, we in South Africa, we boast of one thing. We boast of a constitution which is regarded as one of the most progressive and in the world. But at the end of the day, against the background of the constitution, are we just talking about a piece of paper? Because from what you have described and the multiple issues that you spoke about, tells us one thing: we are not living up to the constitution of this country.
Brother United, I fully agree with you. As the activist Dudu has stated, we've got a constitution, we've got the Bill of Rights, and unfortunately, our government has not come to the fore to really be effective on the ground to ensure that all citizens are actually, enjoying the freedoms of our constitution and the freedoms of our human rights, which is stated in our Bill of Rights. So government has not come a long way. Government has said 27 years, and we still have people that are, living in poverty. We have our socio-economic communities at large, and really, the reality here is that we drive issues at Parliament. Being an opposition MP, we drive issues at Parliament. I mean, if you're just looking at our municipalities are not functioning optimally. So even if you're looking at COVID, the fact is everybody needs to wash their hands. And if there's no essential services like water, I mean, how are you actually promoting the human rights of residents and citizens if they can't even wash their hands to protect themselves from COVID? Brother Unite, I can give you a whole list of how, our human rights have been violated in the education sector, in the crime sector. I can give you a whole breakdown if you want me to. I just don't want to
Yes, no,
monopolize.
we will take this discussion further, obviously, to understand, how serious this problem is. But also looking at, I see, in fact, Hanif Valley has joined us right now, and I'd like to bring Hanif into the discussion as well. Hanif, assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Wa alaikum salam. Apologies, I'm having problems with my technology.
No,
So
it's fine. It's not a problem. These things happen. But obviously, Hanif, you are the executive director of the Foundation for Human Rights. And we have got Hasina Ismail and we got Dudu Tembilichle, who is an activist with us as part of the panel as well. And the question that I had raised up front to both the panelists looking at South Africa 20 years later into democracy, yesterday being Human Rights Day. And we know it's not only now specific to Sharpeville, because we've got a number of issues. We've got a constitution that we're all proud of in this country, a piece of paper that is seen to be very, very progressive. But on a scorecard, if we had to put, South Africa in the last 27 years, looking at human rights on the scorecard, how would you rate South Africa, Hanif?
It varies, because when you talk about human rights, you're talking about a range of rights. Let me say from the outset that I think human rights are absolutely essential. I think there's no situation of whether we should or we shouldn't have human rights. So broadly speaking, when it comes to civil and political rights, freedom of expression, freedom of religion, right to vote, etc., the civil and political rights, we've done quite well. However, it's on the socio-economic rights, the right to food, the right to health, the right to shelter, the right to education, where we haven't done very well. In fact, we've done rather poorly. And this is rather sad, because the Constitution is very clear in its very first clause that our society is based on the values of rights, freedoms, and achievement of equality. So we've done very poorly on our socio-economic rights.
Well, I think, in a nutshell, that actually does encompass, a lot of things. And I think these are the sentiments that people right across the country are expressing. But what I'd like to do quickly now is just to go for a quick ad break. We need to pay some bills. We're going to come back and we will continue with this panel discussion this morning.
Because of you, thousands of needy families received food aid.
Because of you, 2,000 pairs of school shoes made their way to deserving feet.
Because of you, we provided access to clean water in South Africa and Asia.
Because of you, we fed over 100,000 people.
Because of you, we can continue to assist people in need and make the world a better place. Thank you.
Thank you.
Your donation is saving lives. www.pennyappeal.org.za. Penny Appeal. Small change, big difference.
Discover the Africa of your dreams and surround yourself with her spectacular beauty. Relax beneath her serene sunsets and explore wildlife at its natural best. It's where the pride of Africa comes together. The Kwantu Private Game Reserve. Get to know the Big Five or cruise on an elephant safari game drive. Interact with lion and tiger cubs and enjoy world-class halal cuisine while we pamper you during your 5-star stay. Indulge in the true African experience. For reservations, call now on 042-203-1400 or visit kwantu.co.za. The Kwantu Private Game Reserve, the place of gathering.
Motala Perfumes, one of the biggest perfume manufacturing houses in Africa, with a state-of-the-art manufacturing facility specializing in designing, creating, developing and producing new scents and matching designer fragrances for all our stores, as well as private labeling for individuals and companies across Africa. Visit your nearest Motala Perfumes store or visit our website at www.motalaperfumes.com for more information on creating your own brand.
Almost 1 in 5 South African children attend school each day without having eaten breakfast. This seriously affects their ability to concentrate and understand lessons. The Al Imdad Foundation's Make Breakfast Possible campaign allows learners to enjoy a high-energy cereal at the start of the school day. Help children to focus on learning and not hunger. Let's make breakfast possible today. Donate online at alimdad.com or call 0861 786 243 for more information.
Connect And stay ahead with Salam Media. This is Salam Media, coming to you live from South Africa.
The time is just gone 9:35 a.m. and we continue our panel discussion this morning. We have got MP Hasina Ismail, the MP. We've got Hanif Valley, and we also got Dudu Temiliste on a line with us for this morning's panel discussion against the background of Human Rights Day and where we are assessing, analyzing, evaluating where we are as far as guarding ourselves with as far as human rights is concerned. And I'd like just Dudu to come into the discussion now. Dudu, now someone who has been an activist, and from what Hanif had actually mentioned, he says when we look at the scorecard for South Africa, on the one hand, we're talking about a constitution, we know about fundamental rights, things like freedom of association, eradicating racism, when we're talking about freedom of religion, free speech, all of that obviously is has been a major step. We've made a lot of progress in that regard. But I want to focus on some of the problems that we are faced with in the country, where in the past we had things like Sharpeville, we had the Soweto uprisings, we had so much in the past for various reasons where we had this sort of protest action and uprising that led to tragedy as well in this country. But talking about the socio-economic problem, because this is now the major problem, this is a major issue that is confronting this country at this point in time. And as a result, we are seeing uprisings of a different nature that are starting to emerge. And just in your assessment, just in your analysis, your thoughts, because, we spoke and previously, we had a thing called Bantu education, where students had protested. But now we find students, just as an example, protesting for other reasons, socio-economic reasons, promises that have been made, promises that have been broken, and we are facing different challenges to do now.
So, in regards to that, again, in the Constitution, it says that we have a right to an education. But now, what we are saying is the students from this who are protesting to actually gain that education. But now, while we're doing that, they're still being shot at. Who is protecting those students' rights? Because our Bill of Rights says we have a right to an education. And we have to also remember that most of our South Africans are unemployed, and mostly it may be the parents of those students who can't even afford to pay those same fees that are wanted by the universities. So now, what is the government doing about that? Because remember, in order to boost our economy, we have to have educated people to work in different sectors. But then who is going to work in those sectors if the same students are being denied their own education? So that is why I said before that our constitution has failed us. Our leaders are failing us as a nation. And also we have to remember that with our Sharpeville background and everything else, people were protesting to fight for their rights. I mean, if we also look at the Soweto uprising, it was because of the education, the Bantu education that they did not want, they were tired of. And now it's 2021, we are looking at the Asina Mali protest, which in regards is the same thing. Now, what I have to say about that is that the system that was created was not created to protect us as a nation, but it was just to serve those it is serving right now. And also it was just a system to oppress us as South Africans. So that is why we as activists, we are trying to fight against that, because we need equality in this country, especially with racism that is going on after so long in our country. So we just need racial equity, and I think everything else will fall into place.
Hasina, just to bring you into this discussion now, I know that there are a number of people, even including members of parliament, that have expressed a concern saying that this is not the South Africa that we had fought for. And looking at one of the biggest problems in the country at this point in time. And this has been horribly exposed as a result of the corruption in the country, the looting that has taken place. We know we are in difficult times, the COVID-19 era, but also COVID-19 has exposed us horribly as a country, as a nation, and also as a government. Now, this obviously cannot continue, because at the end of the day, something is going to give, and the bubble is going to burst, because this is where we are at this point in time. We see the frustration on the ground. And just looking at South Africa, looking at the populace, the people, the general public, and these are genuine sentiments. These are serious concerns that people have as to where are we at this point in time, and where are we going to end eventually.
Gee, Brother Knight, I totally agree with you. The issues of education are vast. And, if you're looking at the lack of infrastructure, if you're looking at the fact that we're 27 years into democracy and government has not done enough to actually upgrade infrastructure, we have some schools that are still with pit toilets. We have mud schools. Our standards of education, we have a very, very low standard of education as compared to, other countries. So the reality is that we feel for the students of South Africa. We understand, just the freedom. If you say our constitution and our Bill of Rights have brought us a long way with freedom of choice. And if you're looking at our universities, and if you're looking at the choice of the language that you would prefer to be studying in, these are issues that government should be more open. And these are issues that we're actually bringing back to our portfolio committees as an opposition party to say, what, things need to be changing. We need to address issues as they are now. We cannot have a mind frame in our brain to say, what, when we won in 1994 to say that now we've reached democracy in South Africa, we're just going to be doing ABC. Things change in time. And yes, government needs to adapt. And we've got a long way to go. As Dudu has stated, 27 years into democracy and still people are suffering. So the reality is that government is not doing enough. While we have our Bill of Rights and we do have our Constitution, Section 27 of the Constitution is very straightforward to say we have our freedoms. But the problem is our freedoms are not being implemented on the ground, and that is the issue. So reality is that South Africa is way behind when it comes to the human rights of South Africans.
Hanif, from what Hasina is saying, South Africa is way behind. What more can the South African government do at this point in time?
I think there's a lot that the government can do. The president himself has talked about the three pandemics that we are facing. The one that I haven't had much mention of at the moment is the issue of corruption. Let us not underestimate the damage that corruption has caused to our country. And the corruption goes up to the highest level, and it's also found in opposition parties. We see how this bank was looted and how money which should have been used for basic services by various municipalities, especially in Limpopo, was diverted to this bank, and this was looted by allegedly members of opposition parties as well as members of the ruling party. Now, when you hear the Zondo Commission and you hear all the steps that took place, and you see that the same people are still ministers, they're still in senior positions, and even now we're calling for the rule of law to be respected when the previous president is refusing to respond to the summonses of the Zondo Commission and basically is in contempt of the commission. It's an absurd situation. People who are charged with blatant corruption get thousands of people marching in the streets to support them. And so there's a whole system of patronage that's been created. And what we are lacking in this country is accountability. That people who are stealing, and they're stealing from poor people, and they're stealing the futures of poor people, should not be in positions of power, number one. And number two, they should be charged and jailed if they're found guilty. So that lack of accountability is one of the main causes for the problems that we have, which led to the issue of corruption. So that's one of the issues. The other issue is the issue of the respect that we should have for women. the pandemic of gender-based violence and femicide is unacceptable, and a lot of this is taking place in people's homes. And we need to, as a country, get together and change this culture and change this mentality where we can see people being abused because it is along gender. So those are the two things. And then on top of all of it, we've got COVID, which clearly exposed the inequality within our society, not only in our society, but many countries in the world, where the poorest people, and usually people of color, are people who are suffering the most, both in terms of illness, in terms of treatment, and in terms of death. So there's a wide ranging of range of issues, but it starts at the very top. If the tone at the top is one of corruption and theft and lack of accountability, it's going to permeate throughout society.
Well, certainly, Hanif, what we're going to do is we're going to go for a quick ad break. We'll be back.
Did you know a sponsored water well and borehole allows children to go back to school, empowers communities, and is a means of sadaqah jariyah for you? There are many villages in Africa and Afghanistan that are in need of water wells and boreholes. Africa. Sponsor a water well in Africa for just 12,000 rands, or a borehole in Africa and Afghanistan for 49,500 rands. Call Africa Muslims Agency now on 011-834-8685 or donate online at africamuslimsagency.co.za. Africa Muslims Agency, inspiring the spirit of giving.
Looking to get your kick? Kiki's have now reopened on 235 Matthews Maiwa Road in Durban. Head on over for the Taste with Kick. We offer something scrumptious for everyone in the family. Wraps, chicken tikka, burgers, tender grills, mocktails, milkshakes, and so much more. Corporate and events catering available. Visit our social media pages for more info or call 031 209 0119. Kiki's, the Taste with Kick.
Enduran Boys College is an independent boarding and day school situated on the N1 highway in Polokwane. We encourage intellectual and emotional development through a holistic learning environment. We follow the NCS CAPS curriculum and house boys from grade 6 to 12. We have boarding facilities also available from grade 6 to 12. Enduran Colleges aspires towards being a premier institution of learning by offering quality and value-based education that aims to serve humanity. Enduran College is safe haven and a home away from home. It's registered with the Department of Education and Umalusi accredited. For more information, contact us on 078-452-6264. or follow us on Facebook or Instagram, or email us on polokwane@interimcolleges.co.za.
Shimmer, sparkle, captivate. Nothing less than a masterpiece. Droplets of gold inspires precious design. Platinum bursts with intricate freshness, and every pure diamond becomes more than just a girl's best friend. Voda Gold Gem Jewelers, where timeless dreams become a reality. Come to us. We tailor-make designer gold, platinum, and diamond jewelry. Trade in or remodel your old gold. Clad yourself with classy name-branded watches. We offer insurance valuation and freezer card calculation. Visit us at 534 Ridge Road, Overport, or call 031-208-9142. Voda Gold Gem Jewelers, manufacturers of fine gold and diamond jewelry.
Listen to something fresh. Listen to Salam Media.
The time is just gone 11 minutes to 10 a.m. as we head towards closure this morning. And we are having a panel discussion this morning looking at Human Rights Day, which was celebrated yesterday. And we have got Hanif Valley, we've got DAMP Hasina Valley, and we also got Dudu Tembilishle with us, who is an activist. Now, Dudu, just looking at, we've discussed a number of issues with regard to socioeconomic issues, but also at the same time, when we're talking about other issues, and I think this is where we find that we have got major problems, because, everybody's, we're at the time of our democracy, we celebrated as a rainbow nation. We spoke about unity, we spoke about social cohesion, nation building a strong South African national identity. Now, it does appear that all of it has been clouded by the fact that we've had a lack of social development or socio-economic development in the last 27 years. But also, you spoke about racism, but also things like we've seen xenophobia, Afrophobia, all of this at the end of the day manifests itself and reared its ugly head in South Africa that obviously has infringed and impacted severely on human rights in the country.
Yes. So looking at the human rights and human dignity, I think that nothing is actually being done about it. Because if you look at how we are settled in South Africa, we have so many informal settlements, and nothing is being done by the government to eradicate them. And we see how people are living, which is also degrading at some point, because we still have issues of water and sanitation. So, like, we are now 27 years into our democracy, and then we still have racial segregation. We have government forms that we fill out, and then with that form, it will say that you must state whether you are black, you are Indian, you're colored, you are white. Why do we still have such things when we are saying that we are a rainbow nation? We are saying that we are a united country, but yet we are still being segregated as a nation. So when we look at such things, it's just degrading to human beings, because now we are supposed to be considered as South Africans and not be racially segregated or asked about your ethnicity. So, like, those things are just one of the contributing factors to the problems that we have as a country. So, like, a lot needs to be done by our government. We keep on voting and voting and voting, and we see no change. So now people need to be held accountable in each and every department of government that we have. There needs to be accountability. One needs to stand up and say, I did this for the nation, I did that for the nation. And then if there are no such people that will actually stand up and say they did this for our country, they need to get out of parliament, because we do not see the role that they are playing. This is how our country should now start doing things, because we're looking at xenophobia, we're looking at our African brothers and sisters who are being beat up in Cape Town, their stores being burnt down. Hence, we said as a country that we are Africans, we will allow our African brothers and sisters to come into our country, but now they are here, and then we are starting to be xenophobic. It's black against black, which is not even right, because those people are not here in South Africa by choice, but because of the problems that they are facing in their own countries. We as a country should be accommodating, and also the government should be doing something to actually help those people who are here in our country, because when looking at human dignity, this is not something that should be happening to them right now.
Well, certainly. And Hasina, obviously we've seen in the last year we've seen basically an overdose of the president on our television screens, particularly when it comes to all the regular updates as far as where we are as far as the pandemic is concerned, lockdown measures and the like. And, over and over, we've heard it through the show now. We've heard speeches over and over from the president in terms of the fight. And Hanif mentioned the corruption issue, because I think that for me is central at this point in time to take this country forward in terms of how this is managed, but more importantly, to make absolutely sure that that there is accountability, there is total accountability, which see there is lacking. And he spoke about the rule of law, the classic case of the former President Jacob Zuma as well.
Gee, Brother Knight, to really unpack what is going on in government is that, first of all, I mean, with the president coming onto national television or international television for that matter, his family meetings, The reality is that there is not enough transparency and accountability on the ground. We know that as an opposition, we've been highlighting this, just looking at the Disaster Management Act. I mean, things are going wrong. We as our party, you know, I come from the Democratic Alliance, we have taken this matter up to court as well to say that, you know, the procedure and processes that are taking place in government is actually incorrect. I mean, just having a separate council, we are all there. We are all elected representatives, and decisions must be taken as a whole in Parliament. And unfortunately, Cyril Ramaphosa, we can point fingers at Jacob Zuma. Obviously, the man is, you know, corrupt as anything. But I mean, Cyril is none the better. Looking at the fact that, you know what, he is now having to keep his party, everybody happy in his party, and unfortunately, this is to the detriment of the citizens of South Africa. I mean, if you're touching down on GBV and you're touching down on social development, the reality is that we have so many cases of gender-based violence. We have an untrained police force. So we have, you know, it takes 9 months to get a DNA testing on a rape case. Now imagine the effect going down. If you have so many issues that are not being actually addressed because government, I must say the ruling party is so involved with covering up for their own members that our citizens on the ground are suffering. There is no specialized units to deal with GBV and murders. During COVID, when people are confined to their homes, we are finding that, you know what, they are living with the abusers, and the situation is compounded because nothing constructive is being brought to the fore by government, because government is only, I mean, Cyril Ramaphosa only comes up for his family meetings, and really the thing that he says is something that he could have just posted and we could have just read it. It just wastes the time because he's not giving us anything constructive to take the country forward. If you're looking at social development, you know, we are a party that says, you know, empowerment. Empowerment is the essence, because having a country totally dependent only on government is not going to take you anywhere. We need skills empowerment. We need our youth to be employed. And the only way our youth is going to be employed is if they're empowered. So if you're looking at, even if you're looking at social development as a whole, and you're saying, you know what, we have gender-based violence cases, then you'll find the issue that we don't have enough social workers. So, you know, families cannot be counseled on time. Social grants for children are actually not enough. We are having, you know, this is all going into a process of just further degrade. You know, where I'm saying this is leading to child stunting. And this is simply because, you know, corruption is rife. Monies that were supposed to be spent on the people is being taken out. And, you know, if you're looking at Gauteng itself and you're looking at the infrastructure department, you're looking at the health sector, I mean, monies are being looted. If just look at the PPE corruption. Now, seriously, we need to save the lives of our healthcare workers first. And if there's already so much, you know, PPE corruption, where is this country going to? If you're looking at our economy, jobs were a problem before COVID. Now the situation is much worse. We have a huge debt crisis. Eskom has just driven away investment, and it's not getting any better. And I mean, we as an opposition are giving solutions. We are giving solutions to government to say, you know what, let's allow municipalities to get from an independent grid. I mean, we had to take this to court. Then only, you know, things are being changing on the ground. 1 minute, the minister will say A, the next minute, the minister will say Z. So the issue here is that, yes, accountability and transparency is very, very important. The Zondo Commission is really, you know, telling the masses out there, you know, the amount of corruption that is actually infested, where people, you know, were really not understanding it. But I think with the Zondo Commission right now, people are understanding it better. We need to promote, you know, a society, a country where we look away from race. We need to drive, you know, an open opportunity society where our diversity must be celebrated. We shouldn't be looking at Hasina being an Indian, or Tom being a white, or Dudu being a black. We need to look at an open opportunity society where, you know, everyone has equal opportunities. It shouldn't be even the broader black economic empowerment. You know, the reason why we disagree with it is, one is that you're again putting barriers to say, only this amount, or only this amount, or only this amount. Why can't everybody be treated equally? If you're looking at our universities, how many of our students cannot enroll into universities? They have to go out of the country to go and study. When they become doctors and come back into the country, our community service doctors, our interns cannot get placings. I mean, I'm inundated with doctors calling me, telling me, you know what, I need to be placed. I want to assist in this COVID. We need to take, you know, we need to put our hands together.
Sorry, can I just stop you there? Obviously, we are running a bit out of time. And I just want to bring Hanif Valley into this discussion now. Hanif, last year, we Human Rights Day. This year we're celebrating Human Rights Day. Next year, will we be having the same discussion that we are having right now?
This is the sad part of what's happening. The fact is that these issues are not being overcome. And how do we make sure?
And if you just can you speak up, but you're just sounding quite faint.
I beg your pardon.
Yes, I think for some reason or the other we lost Hanif. I think what we will do is I think we need to do a follow-up program actually on this because unfortunately time has basically run out. But we definitely need to have a lot more discussion on this matter. But for now, because time is of the essence, to Dudu and Hasina and also to Hanif, we thank you. We appreciate your time with us this morning as part of this panel discussion. We wish you all the best, inshallah. Assalamu alaikum, and please take care.
Wa alaikum assalam.
Thank you.
Well, that brings us to the end of this morning's broadcast, straight on to 10 a.m. It's time for me this morning. It's been wonderful with you, being with you in your company this morning on News and Views on Salam Media. We'll be back tomorrow, inshallah. Same time, same place from all of us. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.